Welcome to this podcast of Sound Off from July 24th, 2020 with your host, Nate Laux. Nate's guest is LaPorte City Councilperson Tim Franke. Now here's your host, Nate Laux.
Hello, friends. Welcome to today's episode of Sound Off. I'm glad that you're with us, and we've got a great episode for you today. It's a beautiful day in LaPorte County, Indiana, a nice 79 degrees. If you haven't had a chance to go outside and enjoy the day, do it, but after the show today, not right now, because you're not going to want to miss my guest. My guest today is a LaPorte City Council President Pro Tem and local business person. Tim Franke is a founding board member of the charity Big Comedy LaPorte, a Slicer Champions mentor, a member of the LaPorte Rotary Club, and a court-appointed youth advocate. He currently is serving in his first term as a Republican at-large member of the LaPorte City Council. I'm glad to have Tim Franke with us on the show. If you have a question for this LaPorte City Council person, give us a call or a text at 219-362-0522, or you can also email us at soundoff at 967theeagle.com. That's soundoff at 967theeagle.com. Hello, Mr. Franke. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Nate.
Good. So tell me, you are a somewhat younger man. You're not too old. Younger to be in politics, maybe, perhaps. This is your first term. You started getting involved in politics not that long ago. Why did you get involved?
Well, I have no desire to be a politician or career politician. I got involved because I live in LaPorte. I'm from LaPorte, and I love LaPorte. I'm raising my family here, and I think that there's so much untapped potential to the city, and I just wanted to do everything I can to help make it a better place.
Yeah, and so you are the council president pro tem. What does that even mean?
It doesn't mean a whole lot. There is an annual audit from the state that the president has to take part in. And other than that, there's maybe been one or two times where basically I have to sign off on addition or on documents as the president. But it's other than that, it's just a title.
So for those listening today, what is it? What is the role then of, obviously you've got a mayor. We've got a Mayor Tom Dermody, who's been a guest on our show before, and you have the city council. What is the role of the city council in city government?
Sure. So there are different classes of cities, and LaPorte is a class 3 city. With class 2 cities, the city council president would run the city council meeting. With class 3 cities, the mayor runs the meeting, and the city council is there for voting and to weigh in, of course. So there's different structures, but with how LaPorte is, it's the meetings themselves are run by the mayor, and then the council will voice their opinion and use their opinion as their vote as well on different things.
Let's get into some things that the council has done in your time on the council here in the last 6-7 months. If you have a question for council person at large Tim Franke, you can call in to the Liquor Vault on air line at 219-362-0522. You can also text in to us at 219-362-0522 or email us at soundoff at 967theeagle.com. So it's been a pretty interesting couple months. You've been on the council since, did you start in January? Is that right?
Yep.
Obviously, lots of stuff has happened with COVID, these kind of things. How worried are you about city budget stuff, these kind of things? Where's that money going to come from? Obviously, Mayor Dermody's been on the show before, and in other avenues he's talked about budget shortfalls, these kind of things. What's your take on that?
It's absolutely a concern. We had a study done by Baker Tilly, and they projected with the COVID-related things that we are going to see a pretty drastic shortfall in taxes paid, which worst case scenario, we may be looking at around $1 million coming up short this year. So
out of an annual budget of what?
Of $10 million.
Okay.
Well, the budget's more than that, but $10 million is the annual revenue.
Okay.
And so, taking a 10% hit on that is significant. And being a businessman myself, I want to run the city like a business. We can't just continue spending money like nothing's going to happen. I think that we need to look for ways to plan ahead and plan for the worst, because at the end of the day, I want the city to be in the black and not have any issues.
So then where does a city, obviously as a business person, these kind of things, you can get money by, either selling more, these kind of things. How does a city, is there any other way other than just cutting the budget, or is there any other way to get revenue as a municipality?
Well, there have been grants that have come available from both the state and the federal, so that helps create, some of those shortfalls, helps create the additional revenue we need for those shortfalls. Other than that, I think, you do primarily look at what you're currently spending and ways that you can be smarter about spending it and cut the things that aren't necessary. There.
What are those things right now that the city government is thinking about cutting potentially?
Well, there's a big list, right? So, right now, I think we're taking a look overall at everything and haven't made any decisions on what to cut. But, whether it's adjusting hours of the transport and just things that we can maybe tweak and make a little more efficient, and then hopefully not have to make any drastic cuts would be the ideal solution.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the city government, it kind of goes wider and wider, but it wasn't too long ago that the city government went to a mask mandate. Then the county government went to a mask mandate. And now the state government has went to a mask mandate as well. So it's kind of threefold here locally if you're in the city of LaPorte. What was your take on that? Did you support that? Did you not?
Yeah, I support it. I understand that nobody wants their quote unquote freedoms taken away, but it's more so to protect the greater good. The problem with this is the asymptomatic cases that arise with it. You may walk around and not know you have it, and could very well likely be in contact with somebody who is more susceptible to having serious issues with this. So, it's not just to protect yourself, but you got to wear a mask to protect others.
Mm-hmm. Today, on Sound Off, we have as our guest City Council person from LaPorte, Tim Franke. If you have a question or a comment for Councilman Franke, you can call in to 219-362-0522. You can also text that number as well, 219-362-0522. If you would choose to email, you can email us right to the studio at soundoff@967theeagle.com, and that will get right to us as well. I want to kind of move on a little bit. So there's been a lot of talk, obviously, lately, it kind of made national headlines about what happened at the council meeting a couple of weeks ago. The mayor has addressed it on Facebook. Do you have any kind of, you had, in an interview rather, had said about the comments that Councilman Galloway had said about the LGBTQ movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and stuff like that. You had then said in an interview, Councilman Galloway does not speak for all of us. I want the city of LaPorte to move forward and be progressive, and I do not think this comment reflects that or helps in that cause. And then you said, I think that the citizens who spoke last night proved the point, and even more, Councilman Galloway's comments of the need for education, awareness, and help with getting information out there and moving our city forward. So you have commented, you've talked to the media a little bit about, your feelings on that. Is there anything you want to publicly say then about the, being an inclusive city that you kind of mentioned to the media then?
Sure. I think I have already said how I feel, and it's pretty public knowledge, but I think that we need to be an inclusive society to be able to move forward. And I don't see the point in judging anyone for their beliefs. And, with that said, I also don't see the need to judge Councilman Galloway for his beliefs, but I also believe that city council isn't a place to bring religion into your decisions. And that's why, I had an issue with it. But I do support the LGBT community, and I'm all for, welcoming them into LaPorte.
All right, we do have some callers. Hello, you're on Sound Off. How are you? Hello?
Yes.
Hey.
I would like to. I wonder if they ever gave any. I wonder if they ever.
All right, next caller. Hello, welcome to Sound Off. How are you? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Great.
Good. You've got Tim Franke. What's your question?
This is number 98. If a man lies also with mankind as a woman lies with as a man lies with a woman.
Yeah, so this isn't going to be a debate on religion. This isn't going to be a debate on LGBTQ. This is essentially having a conversation on Mr. Franke's views of this and how he handled the situation himself. We want to make sure that we keep the topic to Mr. Franke. If you have a question for him, please do call in or text in or email us. The number is 219-362-0522. So let's talk a little bit about more about priorities for the city specifically. What would you, in your vision for the city council, what would you like to see happening essentially in local government that you haven't seen yet? What is kind of happening around you that you'd like to see the city improve on in governmental ways?
Well, I think I have seen what I was hoping to see, and certainly I want to see more of it, and that is teamwork. You know, I think if we're not all in together with the same goal in mind, we're not going to make it a better place than we found it. And I'm not saying that the council as a whole should have to, by any means, agree on everything that comes in front of us. You know, in fact, I don't expect that, but I do believe that as a council, we are all in it for the right reasons, and I think that teamwork is certainly something that the city council hasn't seen for a while, where it's a cohesive unit that works together with the same goals in mind.
Tell me a little bit more. Obviously, the city council is kind of part of the financial wing of the government, city government, these kind of things. There's been a lot of talk about Newport Landing, these kind of things, economic development, investments that way. Do you think we're making the right investments into economic development locally, or would you like to see that kind of reprioritized? Or, is there something that people don't understand with the economic development of the wing of the city that you'd like to comment on? Yeah,
I think we are certainly moving in the right direction. Newport Landing has been a project that's been going on for a couple decades now, and we're finally seeing some real action there. And my hope is that allows the city to move its focus more so to other areas, because I think we're going to organically start to see that area fill in now that we have the Flaherty Collins project going on. And there are some other things that I know are planned to be built there soon. What I think some people...
Do you want to break that news or no?
No.
Okay.
I do not. But what I think that people may not understand is with these deals, they take years. And, a lot of times we can't talk about them, even though, someone as great as you may try to bait me into it. There are NDAs and things in place that these companies require because they're making a substantial effort, but there's also external factors that can come into play. So they have ways they can back out in the first year, in the second year, and so on. So, we're going to see a lot of good stuff happening there, but I'm really happy about Rural King coming in on the east side, and on the west side. And I think that is an area where I would love to see more focus on improving.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a break. If you have a call or a comment, rather, or a question for City Council person Tim Franke, you can call in to the Liquor Vault on air line at 219-362-0522. You're also welcome to text that number, 219-362-0522. If you have an email, if you prefer to email it, you can email us at soundoff@967 The Eagle. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hello, friends. Welcome back. Again with us in the studio, we have LaPorte City Council person Tim Franke. If you have a question or comment, call us or text us at the Liquor Vault on Air line at 219-362-0522, or you can email us at soundoff@967theeagle.com. We do have a caller. Let me take that call right now. Hello, you're on Sound Off. How are you?
Good. I had a quick question. Now, are you the cameraman for the YouTube channel for the meetings?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. Okay. The one you guys had on for last week, you talked about the demolitions and a little bit of other things. And on the YouTube channel, it was cut out at a certain point. Is there a reason for that?
The reason would be City Hall is it's not wired for the digital world, and that includes the internet and the microphones as well. We've been struggling with sound issues. I think that there are some solutions we're working on that will help with the sound. Ideally, we'd like to find the money to upgrade the sound system so we can stream it, but the sound system was put in over 20 years ago, and it's just really hard to configure that into a stream. But also the internet has been an issue, and City Hall's internet hasn't been the greatest. I do know that Surf Air is putting in fiber, and City Hall's picking that fiber service up, which will drastically improve things. I'm not sure on the timeline, but I think within a matter of a month or two, their fiber will be up.
So it's part of it's also then you said a budget issue to upgrade to where we need to be digitally, for better YouTube or whatever streaming.
Right. And I think that with the pandemic, everyone understands that there's a need to have this stuff digitally and available. So there may be some COVID related funds that City Hall can use to upgrade that, and we're looking into it, and hopefully in the near future we'll be able to do that and have a better show out there. Great,
thanks. We have another caller. You're on the air with Tim Franke. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm from a city in Florida of about 50,000, and we don't have a municipal police force. The sheriff runs everything. I was wondering if you guys have ever looked at that, or if it's even feasible to go in that direction. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question. I've heard of this happening more and more, where city and county police officers, I think Broward County does the same thing, but where to save money, you have these combination kind of police forces. Has the city ever looked into anything like that?
Well, I'm familiar with that somewhat. I've done some research on it and read up on it, but I do know our police department has been extremely busy. I think in the first 6 months they've been on about 30,000 calls or so. There's an absolute need there for them in our city, and I think that we need to have that presence. And part of the effort we want to see is a cleaner city and a safer city. So I fully support our police department, and I wouldn't necessarily be in favor of defunding them or removing them completely.
Sure. Got Tim Franke, city council person from LaPorte, with us in the studio on Sound Off. If you have a question or a comment, you can call in to the Liquor Vault on Air line at 219-362-0522, or text that line as well. You're welcome to email us at soundoff@967theeagle, and we'd be happy to hear from you. Hello, you're on Sound Off.
Yes, I would just like to tell Mr. Franke that he will no longer receive my vote. I think all lives matter. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Tim. You did lose a vote there, but comment to that then. Why is your stance on that for you important?
Well, I 100% agree all lives matter, but I think the point of the Black Lives Matter movement particularly is there's an easily justifiable case there that they face things that we as white people don't face. And that's the point of the Black Lives Matter movement, is to bring recognition of that and say, how do we fix this? So, I wouldn't be sitting here, and I wouldn't be on city council if I didn't think all lives matter. But I do agree that there is still some systemic racism in our society, and frankly, I think we need to work on it.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit too about some of the projects that are coming to the city, or that we're talking. You talked about maybe a different economic focus or a different economic corridor, maybe that we can focus on as well. Do you have something in mind for that, other than Newport Landing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I would love to see us bring in some more manufacturing jobs and higher paying jobs. If we can focus on growing our manufacturing sector of town, I think that we're going to see people get better wages and in turn see our overall economy improve. I also think that when people do have a good job, they find more meaning, and I think you'll see a natural decrease in drug use, and I think drug use ties into depression quite a bit, and if people are earning a good wage and feel proud about what they're doing, naturally we should see a decline in the drug use.
We've got councilperson from LaPorte, Tim Franke, President Pro Tem, with us. If you have a question or a comment, you're welcome to call in. We've got about 5 minutes left on the show. 219-362-0522. You're also welcome to text the Liquor Vault on your line at 219-362-0522. You can email us at soundoff@967 The Eagle. So, manufacturing is a really hard issue right now. Lots of communities like us that are saying the same thing. We want to get better paying jobs. We want to get more jobs. So what does LaPorte have to offer then, rather than, let's say, Elkhart or, other cities in our region that are competing for these same manufacturing jobs? What would you say is one of the better reasons to invest into LaPorte?
Well,
as a business owner, I think you can also speak to that as well.
I think there's multiple reasons. You look at our town, its park system, its lakes. It's a great place to live and raise a family. So that certainly would play into your decision-making process of moving your business here. Also, we do have a good workforce out there and available workers. I'd like to see additional focus put on making sure that if people do want some of these skills, whether it's running CNC machining, that they're readily available, because the more we can improve our workforce with these skills, the more attractive we become as a community to businesses looking to move. But I also think the big one is taxes. We're relatively low in tax, especially if you look next door in Illinois. And I think there's a big opportunity, as a lot of businesses are getting drowned out by taxes over there, to bring them over. And that cost savings alone, I think, easily justifies it. But we've got so much to offer in this community. Aside from our workforce, the quality of life is outstanding.
So the taxes are lower here than Illinois, or at least much of Illinois anyway. Do you think taxes should be raised? I mean, how when we talk about revenue shortfalls, these kind of things, are our taxes too low here? Or do you think we just need to figure out how to cut some more things?
The last thing I want to do is raise taxes. If we can look at ways to make things more efficient and cost effective and solve things, that's what I'm in favor of. I would look at raising taxes as a worst case scenario, and I don't think we're at the worst case scenario right now. So I won't say never, but I certainly will do my best to not have that happen.
Tell me a little bit more then about the inner workings of the council, these kind of things. What is your schedule? What does that look like for somebody that also has another full-time job? Do you meet every other week or something? Is there other meetings that you guys attend? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so the actual council meetings are the first and third Mondays of the month, and outside of that, we sit on various boards and commissions, and so I represent, or I'm the city's liaison for the school board, the police commission, and the redevelopment commission. So I try to attend all of those meetings. We have pretty regular updates with the mayor as well, and he certainly is welcoming and inviting of our input on some decisions he's making, which I truly appreciate. So, I mean, time-wise, it's a bigger chunk than I expected going into it. But it's also somewhat gratifying because we're 7 months in, and even with the pandemic, we're already seeing a lot of good progress. I don't think anyone can argue with that, and I think that we're just getting started too. So the next 3.5 years, we've got a lot of work to do, but we're going to get it done.
Well, great. Thanks so much, Tim, for being with us. Councilman Franke, Tim Franke from LaPorte City Council. President Pro Tem was our guest today at Sound Off. I want to thank you for listening as well. Thank you so much for being a part of this community conversation because, again, as we are a community in conversation, the better we have these conversations, the more civil we have these conversations, the better our community will be. I want to encourage you as well to subscribe to the Sound Off podcast, be a part of our online conversation. But most importantly, I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for listening to Sound Off. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us and voicing your opinion on this edition of Sound Off. The views on Sound Off are those of the host or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media LLC, or the sponsors. Sound Off airs every Monday and Friday at 12:30. Please mark your calendar and join us again for the next edition of Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, Sound Off on 96.7theeagle.com.